Hey Scott, good to see you again. Brianna Walker with The Athletic.
Hey, how's it going?
Just going pretty well. It's going pretty well. Hope you're doing well as well. In terms of the offense, I'm really curious. How excited are you for Sunday to kind of show off just the different various weapons that you all have in the running back group and kind of show the diversity that you all have there?
I think anytime you reach this part of the year, you're excited to go play. We've practiced against our guys for a while. We feel like we've prepared. We still have a couple more days to really get ready, but I think guys are just excited to go play. We have a group of men that love football, and they want to go out there and play.
This is just me being curious, but what does Marcus Ball add to the offensive room there? We've seen a lot of him and Logan Thomas together. We've seen Logan Thomas, Jeremy Sprinkle, and Marcus Ball. What does he offer to you all just in the offense?
He's a guy that he can be a threat in the pass game, but he's also a very good blocker, and so we'll use him, in combination with our other tight ends. We have, all three of those guys are going to play, and they all have different strengths that we'll try to show off.
Thank you, Scott.
Scott, Nikki Jabala with the Washington Post. Just in watching Dwayne Haskins throughout camp and, the early going of this week, how has he progressed in learning this offense and picking it up and feeling comfortable with it?
Just from the beginning of even, going back to Zoom meetings, talking about having the meetings, and, it was frustrating because we couldn't get on the field. And then when we finally got to the field, he was calling things for the first time, and he was doing a nice job of it. You could tell that he worked at it, but just giving him the repetitions, different looks at concepts that we run, calling the plays in the language that we use over and over again. He's just gotten more and more confident. The decision making, it's sped up, and it just it's improved. And I feel like he's in a good place right now, and he's playing fast. And obviously, the next test is going and playing an actual game. But we're excited for that, and it's time.
And just your opinion on something. You used your running backs obviously more in the passing game. Is that kind of, in your opinion, where the game is headed? Where skill position players are doing more than one traditional position? Those lines have become more blurred.
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think so. Yeah, I think that there is a place. For those guys that present some versatility. Anything that we can do to keep the defense off balance, is good. I think we got a few guys like that, both in the running back room as well as at the receiver position, and we'll try to use them as much as we can.
Thanks.
Hey Scott, I just was kind of curious on what your thoughts about the Eagles' defense was. Obviously, that front, and they've kind of remade the back nine, right back four.
No, I got you. It's going to be interesting to see because you can read the reports and you say what they're going to do. Apparently they moved some guys around. We're preparing for a couple different scenarios because you're not really sure until you get out there. Obviously, dealing with the big guys they got up front. That's the first challenge. We got to block them. We've stressed that. Once we started our preparation on them. They're a good team. They present a lot of different challenges. Coach Schwartz does a great job of, giving you different looks and not letting you zone in on what he's doing. But we talked to our guys about, playing fast, bringing the fight to them, and making them cover us, making them defend us. And, we'll sort it out with what we see as far as their personnel, and we'll know early, because once the game starts. But we've prepared for a couple of different things, but we've got a lot of respect for them. We played them in Carolina in 2018. It was a crazy game. But they, some of those guys are still there, and so they got some new guys, scheme-wise, pretty similar. So I think, we're ready to go. We got a good plan.
How do those reports work? Obviously, if there's no preseason tape, are you reading articles of what's going on in training camp? Is someone bang those for you?
We do some of that, but mostly it's just keeping up to date with the roster, and then, there are some articles that give you some projections, but really it's just, we've seen these guys play. We have a feel for their personnel. Obviously they signed Slay, he's going to play corner. But they talk about, moving some different guys around. So, and then you look at who's on their roster and you kind of put the puzzle pieces together.
Cool. Thank you.
Hey, Scott P. Haley with NBC Sports Washington. Everybody likes to talk about the pros of a running back rotation. You get different looks, different guys. Is there any drawbacks to that? Is there a negative side to using so many guys at one position like that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. I think we got some good guys, so I think it's good for all of them to have opportunity. There's been some teams that have done it. To me, it's about overall production. Last year in Carolina, we had a guy that is one of the most conditioned athletes I've ever been around in my life. So he didn't really need to leave the field, and he performed at an extremely high level. That's a unique situation. We got guys that present different skill sets, and just different types of players. But they all can kind of do a bunch of different things. So you keep them fresh, not only for a game, but over the course of the whole season. And just keep those guys coming at the defense. I don't think there are a lot of drawbacks as long as you feel good about the guys that are in the rotation, which we do.
Thank you.
Hey, Scott. Logan Turner question for you. Logan Thomas question for you.
Yeah.
Matt's asking about the back nine. We're all stumbling today.
Okay.
Just his development in being a quarterback, what does that do for him? And how have you seen him really kind of seize this starting job over the course of camp?
Yeah, he's a big physical guy. He can run. There's some parts of the tight end position that are new to him, but he's been playing that for a few years now. It's actually funny. I have some conversations with him about like stuff that normally tight ends don't know, and I forget sometimes, and he'll say something to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. You understand that, So that part of it, he kind of feels the bigger picture, which is a plus. But he's playing fast. He's gaining some confidence in the position. I think we have some guys like that have had smaller roles that are now going to be thrust into bigger roles. And whenever that happens, I think there's some excitement behind it just personally for them. And they're hungry, guys are hungry, and he's one of them to go out there and show what he can do.
How's his blocking coming along?
He's a physical guy. I mean, I don't know if you looked at the clip of him on a down the field block last year. It was a highlight that went viral. So it's not like anything. It's not for lack of effort, just a technique. He's working to get better at it. Like I've said this before, we got, to me, the best tight end coach in the league, and Pete Hainer, and he does a great job with those guys every day, working on that. And all three of them, but especially Logan, has really improved in that aspect.
Let's circle back to
Ben. Hey, Scott. Ben Standig with The Athletic. I wanted to ask you about the Adrian Peterson decision. I'm sure you guys have great respect for him, and I'm sure it was just the circumstance. But for you as a first-year coordinator, how important was it to be able to start the offense that you're here to do right off the bat? Because the guys that you currently have seem to be a better fit for the motion that you want to do than Peterson. How important for you, just as a new coordinator, to kind of get that going?
It really wasn't about me. To me, and I got a lot of respect for Adrian. I was with him for 3 years in Minnesota. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. All the things that Coach says. To me, it came down to the other running backs that we have, and though we have good players, but good young players, and we didn't want to lose any one of those guys. And it's not that we didn't want to lose Adrian. I mean, we wanted to lose him, but tough decisions have to be made in this business, and we look at what we have in that group and how those guys can play off each other, and that's really what drove the decision. And I had a good talk with Adrian after it went down, and it was tough. That's one of the toughest things in this business is that day. I think guys talk about that a lot, but it's even tougher when it's a guy like that, that you have a history with.
And then sort of to follow up on that, those other young guys, I know Ron has already told us that don't read too much into the depth chart with McKissick listed as the first guy. It's going to be a committee. But how much did he surprise you at all with everything that he was able to do? And was that part of what you're saying, that because you had him plus Gibson and the other guys, that was his rise was part of what was able to allow you to make the move on Adrian?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all four of them. You talk about obviously we talked about JD, Antonio, but Peyton Barber's done an outstanding job during camp, and he's got a big role on our offense. And then Bryce, Bryce as well. Bryce has done a great job. You know, obviously, you know the story about him coming off the injury, but you could tell every day getting better and better and better, and he's going to be part of what we do also. So, all those guys. That's the thing, and yeah, you don't read too much into the whole thing as a starter, but JD earned the right to be named the starter because he came in and I didn't know him at all, and you just watch what he did on tape. But he's a professional in every sense of the word. He's one of the smartest guys we have on our team. He's getting other guys lined up, and he's got a funny sense of humor too. But he's done a good job. I'm glad we got him.
Thank you.
Les, are you on? All right, let's go. Heather
Thanks.
McDonough, NBC4, if you're on.
Hey, I'm on. Chris, did you want to hop on first? I see you were starting to say something.
Well, go ahead, Heather. I'm confused on the order here, so.
Oh, no worries. Coach, on some of the days that when like yesterday when Coach Rivera wasn't there, and obviously Coach Del Rio's running things, for all of you though, I have to imagine there's some kind of level of, we need to step up more. We need to do what Coach has laid in place. What are those days like for yesterday? What was that like for you, and your side of the ball, and what you think that you need to do on those days?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think Coach Del Rio did a great job of stepping in. Being a head coach previously, I think that helps him for those experiences. But even when Coach isn't here, he has the plan in place. And what he asks us to do is just to do what we always do. Fortunately for me, we got a great offensive staff, and I'm able to, let those guys coach their position and just, really oversee the whole offense. Coach does a great job every day of pushing the tempo, make sure guys practice hard. So you do have to just kind of make sure you're conscious of that. But we do that as well. But mainly it's just do your job, not try to overdo it, but understand that, hey, yeah, we got to make sure that this tempo is good with coach not here. But we got a great group of players too that understand what's expected of them.
Thank you.
Hey, Scott. Just wanted to ask this: with obviously having no preseason games, and say with Gibson and I guess to a lesser degree Gandy Golden, who missed more practice time, how hard is it to develop a game plan when you haven't seen them in game action at all, and you don't even have tape to lean on? I guess from NFL game tape, I should say, to lean on in terms of developing a game plan and making sure you're not putting too much on their plate early on in the season.
Yeah, I think you just gauge that from practice and trust your gut. I mean, we've thrown a lot at those guys early and just to see what they can handle. We've practiced a little differently than what we have in the past because of the lack of preseason. Try to simulate more, periods where it's not scripted, where we're calling it. We did quite a bit of that. It's obviously not the same as the game, but preseason game isn't really the same as a regular season game either. So, we simulate that and you just trust what you see on tape, and then just let these guys know what's expected of them. And, I feel good about what we've been able to see and evaluate and expect going into the game Sunday.
Thank you.
Hey, Scott, John Kime, ESPN. I want to talk about Alex for a second. Where did you see maybe the biggest jump in his game, even in the last week of practice last week?
When we watched, you watched all the stuff as far as just like the rehab. You saw that he got his movement skills back, and then just like strength, as he's progressed, the more comfortable he's gotten playing quarterback, you see the strength of being able to push off that leg, and then just the confidence and the comfort of playing with it. Obviously, everyone knows the story of how tough of an injury that is to come back from. So a lot of that is just developing that confidence again that you can play and not have it in the back of your mind. And the more reps he's gotten, I think the less he's thinking about it. I don't think he's thinking about it at all anymore, to be honest.
And then with the two back sets like that, you talk about the stress of the D. Where does it put the biggest stress in a defense when they're that multidimensional?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure exactly, but it's not so much like two backs. It's just a matter of rotating them and them playing at different times. As far as a scouting report, I think the defense just has to understand, what the strengths are of each different back, or maybe the tendencies, but we don't really necessarily have any of those. So right yet, at least. So hopefully we can be versatile.
Thank you.
Last one.
Coach, this Sunday is the first time you're going to see your team against an opponent.
Thank you.
And how will you balance evaluating watching individuals versus, especially in the first half, versus the success of your series or a particular play call?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in the middle of the game, really what you're trying to do is just do whatever you can to score points and get first downs. So, we'll be, we'll stick to our plan initially, and then if we get different looks or something unexpected, we'll be ready to make some adjustments. Obviously, each position will be focused on their guys and how they're doing, and then in between series we'll be able to talk and potentially make adjustments. But you got to see all of it. It's always the balance between the scheme and the personnel, and you got to evaluate it all and be ready to make those adjustments. If there are issues, whether it is a personnel issue or a scheme issue, as the game goes on. So I think there's always going to be that balance between those two aspects of the game.
All right. Thanks so much for your time, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right. Thanks, guys.